And then finally people say, well, if it were an inside job, wouldn't anyone have come forward? Wouldn't there be a whistleblower? Well, guess what? When people do come forward, because the press is controlled by people like Murdoch and Redstone, you know, because the press is controlled, you're not going to hear about this stuff on the press. That's why you're only going to hear about it in channels like this, and now growing movement, the Truth Movement. But you're not going to see it yet on NBC, because NBC is owned by GE, and GE's a beneficiary of the wars. So GE's not about to blow this little thing they have here. So anyway, E. Howard Hunt, after his death, his son released a taped confession. E. Howard Hunt admitted that he was involved in the Kennedy assassination, that Lyndon Baines Johnson was involved in the Kennedy assassination, that George H.W. Bush, the president of George W. Bush, was involved in the Kennedy assassination. Did anybody see that on CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox News? No. It did not. So it's like if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it happen? If somebody confesses, or if a whistleblower blows a whistle and it's not on the news, did it really happen? As a matter of fact, Sybil Edmonds did blow a whistle. She was gagged in exchange for blowing a whistle. And Sybil Edmonds has come forward and said that she believes that 9/11 was an inside job, from what she has learned in her position as a translator for the FBI. The people that tried to come forward, people like Kenneth Williams and Colleen Rowley, who were with the Arizona and Minnesota FBI, were investigating the unusual activities in flight schools. They tried to come forward, and they were told by Dave Frasca, the FBI Radical Fundamentalist Unit Chief, to stop their work. He's prohibited them from doing any more investigations of these characters in flight schools. Why? Because they were patsies, and the FBI that was in on it needed them. They couldn't have the FBI agents that weren't involved uncover their plot. So, yes, and people have tried to come forward. They've been gagged. The people that tried to come forward before it happened were told to stop their investigation of 9/11, or not of 9/11, of the patsy hijackers. And then the other thing I have to say about that is, if you were criminally involved in 9/11, if you planted the charges, if you did any of these things that would possibly get you the death sentence for mass murder and for treason, would you ever speak up if you were not even a suspect in the crime? No, no one ever confesses to a crime that they committed if they're not a suspect. I mean, nobody in their right mind. So if you were criminally negligent, you think Bush is going to stand up and say, hey, my conscience is bothering me? No, these people have no conscience. So they're not going to confess to a crime that they're not even a suspect for, and especially a crime for which they could very likely get the death penalty. So none of the insiders who did it are going to confess. And the people that weren't insiders that have tried to say something have been gagged. So what has been wrought by 9/11? In conclusion, here's a series of things that have happened as a direct result or anticipation of 9/11. I already mentioned Jeb Bush, the younger brother of George Bush, declared martial law in Florida 4 days before 9/11 on September 7th of 2001. The war on Afghanistan was launched on October 7th of 2001. And of course that was retribution, revenge for 9/11. The USA Patriot Act was passed by Congress on October 25th that took away much of our constitutional rights. The Department of Homeland Security was established on November 25th of 2002 as a direct result of 9/11. The war on Iraq was launched on March 20th of 2003 as, again, a direct result of 9/11. The USA Patriot Act was renewed by Congress on July 22nd of 2005, again, a direct result of 9/11. The John Warner National Defense Authorization Act was passed by Congress September 30th of 2006. That act repealed the Posse Comitatus Act, which allows for the declaration of martial law in this country. The Military Commissions Act was signed into law on October 17th of 2006. That act repealed habeas corpus, our right to a trial by a jury, which we have enjoyed since the Magna Carta was signed over roughly 800 years ago. So we have lost rights we've had since, King John and the Magna Carta was signed 800 years ago. So the ongoing things that have been attributed to 9/11 are warrantless searches, domestic spying, and even torture. These are things that are all attributable to 9/11, and they must be stopped because 9/11 was an inside job. It was a psychological warfare operation. It was a false flag attack done by elements of the United States government, done by elements of Mossad, and possibly elements of MI6, the British intelligence. This was an inside job. It was a false flag operation designed. It was, as I said, a last-ditch effort for the ruling elite to maintain their control, and that includes people like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. These are the same people that control the banking system. They're the same people that control Hollywood, that control the media, that control the insurance, that control healthcare, that control every aspect of our lives. They control consumerism. They control the destruction of the planet. They control the global warming. They control all of this stuff. It's all controlled by this handful of people. And when people wake up and understand that they were the people behind 9/11, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Bushes and the Cheneys of the world, then and only then will we be able to have peace and prosperity on this planet. The truth will set you free. And understanding the truth of 9/11 and understanding who really did 9/11. There's one final thing that I'd like to send you to. Can you pause for 1 second? In conclusion, I'd like to send you to a website, www.whodidit.org. And it has some more information about what we've been talking about and the actual perpetrators behind the crimes of 9/11. So, just to summarize everything. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank you for your attention in this part 1 and part 2, the conclusion of part 2 of 9/11, the truth of the matter. Thank you for your attention, and just everything we touched on today, the fact that the World Trade Center could not possibly have fallen because of the impact by the airplanes, and the fact that there is ample evidence, circumstantial and otherwise, for this being something other than what we were told. And remember that whenever anybody says, oh, if you believe something that other than the government's telling you, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, guess what? No matter what you believe, you're a conspiracy theorist, except if you believe the truth. Then you believe in a conspiracy which is the truth. So you can be a conspiracy factualist. If you believe in the government's conspiracy theory, you believe in a theory that violates the laws of physics, chemistry, thermodynamics, and basic engineering. So the craziest conspiracy theory of them all is actually the U.S. government's own story of what happened on 9/11, which is actually physically impossible. So keep in mind, if anybody ever tries to say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, say, no, I'm telling you the truth about what happened. And the fact that it happens to involve a conspiracy is just the way it is. Conspiracies are not that uncommon. They happen all the time. So thank you once again. Thank you for your attention, and tell your friends, tell your family, visit Who Did It, www.whodidit.org, to learn more about the truth of 9/11, because the truth matters.